Okay, once again, I'm not sure about the lighting because it is kind of getting dark outside, but I am continuing with my responses to the 12 insane things that Mormons believe. This is getting fun. So, let us look. I think some doozies are coming up. So let's look at number 6.
Number 6 thing that Mormons believe that is really weird. Mormons actually have a very strange relationship with black people, and it used to be that black people were not considered even savable. Like this is a real racist religion. It's like one of those things they don't want you to know about. Before 1978, they actually taught church doctrine that black people could not go to heaven, that you fell from heaven years ago with Lucifer, and one of the curses on your life was your dark skin, and so therefore you're redeemable. They have since changed that now. They don't believe that now, but they did, and so that's something you need to know, that Mormonism actually did teach that not too long ago.
Okay. I'm not going to say too much on this issue because it is a very contentious issue. There are a lot of people in the church and out of the church that criticize the policy of the priesthood restriction, but there are a few clarifications that need to be made. There's a few misconceptions. Some are being perpetuated in this video, and this video, quite honestly, has hit me with a new one. Something I've never heard anybody claim before. So, at least this guy's got something, to me, somewhat original. But first of all, let's just clarify this. It was never all black men or all black people. It was African. Black African. Therefore, Australian Aborigines, who are also black, they received the priesthood, no restrictions. Pacific Islanders, black, no restrictions. It was only descent in Africa. Now, I just want to make that clear, because I think that is important to note that. And the reason I think that's important to note is because Africa is where the children of Ham settled, of the 3 sons of Noah. And we read in the scriptures, I do want to point this out, in Abraham, chapter 1, verse 23. And the land of Egypt being first discovered by a woman who was the daughter of Ham and the daughter of Egyptus, which in the Chaldeans signifies Egypt, which signifies that which is forbidden. When this woman discovered the land, it was under water, who afterwards settled her sons in it. And thus from Ham sprang that race which preserved the curse in the land. The descendants of Ham preserved the curse. What curse? Well, the only curse to be preserved by Ham would have to come before the flood. And the only curse before the flood was the curse on Cain. So that distinction, I don't want to get into too much detail on that, but that distinction of African descent, the black African, the restriction wasn't on the color of the skin. It was on those who were descended from Ham. Skin color really had nothing to do with it. Now, the details on that are fuzzy. We don't really know exactly why, but that's what it is. I think that's an important clarification to make. Second clarification, very important. He claims that it was taught that black people couldn't gain salvation. That is an outright lie. There's never been a time when a black man or woman could not be baptized and confirmed in the church. And that is all that is necessary to enter the celestial kingdom. Nothing else is required. Well, I mean, you have to be faithful to your baptismal covenants, but you don't have to be ordained to the priesthood. You don't have to go to the temple. If you are baptized and confirmed a member of the church and are faithful to your baptismal covenants, you will enter the celestial kingdom. And that was never denied to anyone, regardless of race. So the claim that it was ever taught that a black person could not be saved is an outright lie. Now, whether the guy making the video knows it's a lie or is just spouting out what other anti-Mormons have stated, I can't tell you. but the claim is a lie. It is also true, I want to point out this very important fact. Once the restriction was lifted, it didn't just allow people still alive to be ordained to the priesthood and receive all the other ordinances in the temple. It allowed people to do the work for the dead, which I talked about extensively in my last video, which was all about salvation for the dead. So before, a black person of African descent could be baptized, so they could always get in the celestial kingdom, but they couldn't receive the temple ordinances of endowment and sealing. Once that restriction was lifted, all those previous people who were only baptized could now receive the endowment and sealing through the vicarious work of salvation for the dead. So they were restricted while in mortality, but they will not be restricted in any way in the eternities. They will receive the same blessings, or at least the opportunity to receive the same blessings as everybody else. Why they were restricted in mortality, we do not fully understand. It was put in place by God, it was lifted by God. But regardless, nobody who has ever been born on this earth will miss out on the opportunity to receive the greatest rewards in heaven. So it doesn't matter. Nothing out. Regardless of why the restriction was there, the effects of it have been wiped away completely. On a final note, and this is where this guy gets a bit unique, that I've never heard anybody make this claim before. So he says that it's taught that the black race had sided with Satan in the war in heaven and were cast down to earth with Satan when Satan was cast out of heaven, and that's why the restriction was there. And that is, I can't understand where he gets this from, because that is so far off from the truth that it's kind of amazing that he could actually believe this. What it is that there was a war in heaven. We read about it in the book of Revelation. We read, Isaiah talks about, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, thou son of the morning. There was a war in heaven. Satan warred against God, and he lost. And 1/3 of the heavens was cast out. And we read about this in Revelations chapter 12. A great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his head, and his tail drew the 1/3 part of the stars of heaven and did cast them to the earth. This is what it's talking about. The war in heaven, 1/3 of God's children, 1/3 of the spirits, sided with Lucifer. And they were cast down into the earth. But they never received a physical body. They were never born on the earth. They were not mortal. They are Satan and his devils that tempt us. The unclean spirits that we read about possessing people's bodies. That's what we're talking about. That's what the scriptures are talking about. These 1/3 of the hosts of heaven that were cast out for rebellion. They don't have physical bodies. Therefore, a black man born into this world with a physical body cannot be among those who were cast out. All those born into mortality were among the 2/3 who sided with God. Now, why they were restricted to the priesthood has never been fully explained. But to say that they were among the 1/3 that rebelled in heaven and were cast out, that's just not false. That's not just a lie, like saying that it was taught they couldn't be saved. That is a gross twisting of the truth of the plan of salvation. Again, it was not based on skin color, but on the descent of those descended from Ham. It was never taught that they couldn't be saved. They were always allowed baptism and confirmation. And since the restriction has been lifted, vicarious work for the dead can be done for all people in all ordinances. And it has never been taught, and is completely contrary to what is taught in the gospel in the church, that they were among the 1/3 that fell from heaven. But like I said, we don't know why the restriction was there. And for anybody, especially somebody outside the church, to claim to know why this was is beyond belief. But I'm going to leave it there. I've probably talked too long on this subject as it is. So if you're enjoying it, like, subscribe, tune in for my next one. I think this was number 6, so I'm now halfway through his list. Hopefully I can get the rest of them out in the next few days. See you in the next video.